Welcome to Healthcare Sucks. Oh, and it's sucking right now. Okay, we're gonna jump back into this. This is part two. Um, they're gonna cover some masks things. I think I covered it about in the last one, but if you didn't catch it, remember eggs are good, eggs are bad, eggs are good, eggs are bad. I'm giving you the quick versions today. All right. So with the masks are good, masks you shouldn't, masks you do. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna see it firsthand. This is how the mask thing went. Because if you go back and watch my videos, they were actually told way back when the masks are useless. And now all of a sudden they're doing something. I call it bullshit. Excuse my French. Bullshit. That's right. I said it twice. And I'm going to say it one more time. Because it is bullshit. When they come out way back when and they said the masks are useless, there's no good, they're not no good, etc. They don't work. Another thing, if you go back and watch my videos, the hand sanitizer stuff, they were actually saying it's ineffective. You don't hear that no more. Oh my goodness. Because they're making millions and millions, if not billions of dollars off the masks. They're making millions and billions of dollars off the hand sanitizer. Everybody and their brother's making hand sanitizer now, guys. And the bottom line is good old soap and water turned out to be maybe the best, you know? So with that being said, if you're skeptical, trail back in time and watch some videos of mine. Whoa, that was too good. Fair Use Act is in use. Everything here is an illusion till it's not, and you wake up and guess who's on your front door? The Wuhan bioweapon monster. Here we go.
Had been altered from saying it had enough supplies to respond to multiple large-scale emergencies simultaneously to reading its role is to supplement state and local supplies as a short-term buffer.
I don't know if Jared Kushner knows this, but it's called the United States of America. And the federal government, which has a stockpile, is supposed to be backstopping the states.
9 governors are still declining to enact stay-at-home orders, and Mr. Trump is refusing to direct them to do so, despite recommendations from his own public health officials.
I just don't understand why we're not doing that. We really should be.
The government's advice has changed over time. Americans were told not to wear masks. Now the CDC is recommending they wear non-surgical masks or face coverings in public. On Friday, the president immediately made it clear he is not going to follow that guidance.
You can do it. You don't have to do it. I'm choosing not to do it.
Americans were told only older people or those with compromised immune systems were at risk. In fact, 21% of deaths and nearly half of patients admitted to the ICU have been Americans under 65, according to early CDC data. Americans were told testing was widely available.
Anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there.
Even now, there have been just 1.6 million tests conducted.
And the tests are inaccurate. Go back and watch. Back when this thing, as it's progressed, they over and over said the tests are basically over 50% to 75% inaccurate until you're full blown. Period. That's part of the reason they're holding back on these things, because they're inaccurate. And even the new ones that they say are more accurate are inaccurate. And real quick on China acting like the hero, coming, bringing people supplies and all this. Their stuff's living up to China. It's garbage. Italy and France had to send stuff back because they weren't working at all. They were inaccurate. And a lot of the supplies they sent out were substandard, guys. Remember who this came from. I can't install, enough that this was an act of war, guys. And China's making out. Now they're starting back up. They're making more money. This was the shot that was heard around the world. It was just heard. We didn't know where it came from. We didn't know what it was. And it was the act of war. But yet, it's not over yet, guys. It's still just devastating and taking lives. And now it's starting to put money back in the pockets of the people who launched this. There's something wrong here, guys. I don't know what the resolve is. I'm not seeing WW3 with these people, obviously. I'm not saying that they are not planning an invasion at this point, because it definitely could be in the works. When your enemy's at its weakest, you hit them. And I kind of went over this scenario. Why everybody's weak, the ships, our crews being taken off, and all this other. Bam, EMP, knock down the United States' stuff. Defenses go down. Invasion. Not just from the air, the land, the sea. I covered this in videos too. Some of you know about the tunnel digging earth machines. We actually have personnel carrier, little smaller earth digging machines that by DARPA that come up out of the ground, guys. You don't hear about it every day. No, we do. And mix that with AI, you don't even have to provide oxygen. You could have here's your drones, robots and everything coming out like a Star Wars almost kind of thing. But we live in that day and age. I don't even need to tell you guys. I don't. So let's watch a couple more minutes of masks in part 2, then we're going to go to the next.
Nationwide, a fraction of what experts say is needed. In fact, for months, the president played down the virus, misrepresenting the facts.
One person coming in from China, and we have it under control. It looks like by April, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away.
This week, he reversed course on his rosy projections, acknowledging the U.S. death toll could be staggering, while attempting to claim
100,000 is, according to modeling, a very low number. On the show, hundreds of thousands of people are going to die. You know what I want to do? I want to come way under the models. The professionals did the models. I was never involved in a model, but at least this kind of a model.
And joining me now is the U.S. Surgeon General. It's Vice Admiral Jerome Adams. Admiral Adams, welcome to Meet the Press. And let me start with, you're the Surgeon General. Give us your recommendation on face masks.
Well, it's important for America to understand that originally the CDC, the World Health Organization, and my office all recommended against the public wearing face masks because the best available evidence at the time suggested that they were not impactful in preventing you from catching a disease if you were the individual wearer and you were healthy. We always recommended that if people had symptoms, that they wear a face mask to prevent spreading disease to other folks. Here's what's changed. We now know that about 25%, in some studies even more, of COVID-19 is transmitted when you are asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. And so the CDC has now recommended that people wear cloth face coverings when they're going to be out in public and they can't be more than 6 feet away from each other. But here are the important points really quickly. Number one, you need to make sure you're not substituting social distancing with face masks, because the most important thing is still to stay away from people. Make sure if you put on a face mask, you don't touch your face and you don't and you wash your hands before you utilize it. And number three, say that the medical mask for the healthcare workers, excuse me, they need them. They absolutely need them to be able to respond. I have a video out where I made a cloth face mask out of a t-shirt and rubber bands. Anyone can do this. We all need to do our part to get through this.
I'm curious, I know you made the warning, you're saying you don't want people to make a run on clinical or surgical masks. Two questions I have on that front. Number one, if you are caring for somebody in the vulnerable age group, should that person be wearing a surgical mask? And second, if there were enough around the country, would that be the recommendation?
Answer's hell yeah. And the other answer too is hell yeah. You should be having one too. And me and others. Way back when, I know Team 99, some of you guys went out there and did it. And you've got some. I went out and bought some. Yeah, yours truly. I also recommended pandemic kits. If you go back, pandemic kits were, at the time I was recommending them, I don't know what they are now. I'll go look and see if they're even out there. Probably not. Pandemic kit gave you the antibiotic sterilization wash, one bottle. 4 of the regular masks. Looking to see. Oh, let's see. That guy's got them. Yeah, 4 of those. See, I put them in little bags so like I'm prepared. Look at this. And I bought a bunch of them, guys. I've been helping out some of my neighbors and friends who didn't listen and didn't tune in to Healthcare Sucks. More importantly, on the pandemic kit, You also got 2 of the N99 masks, the good ones. Yeah, all for, at one time, you could have bought the whole kit for $5, which is cheaper than the masks and everything. And as time went on, that went up to $10, but you still got, it was still a good deal. It came in one package. I don't have one in here. I'll show you in the next video though. So tune in to part 3. So my point kind of is, thank you Team 99 for listening and going out and getting what you could. My other point is, use them. You know, you are just as important as the next person. Your life is just as important as anyone else's in this world. You are not expendable. You are not a deplorable. You are a great human being, my friends and family. And for tuning in, I'm trying to help us get through this over and over. We're gonna work this out together. We're gonna get through this. Just like on the masks and the recommendations I've made. In time, I'll make more recommendations and stuff. You don't have to take it. You know, a lot of places put up this, everything is like a grain of sand. Don't take anything we say and whatever. Well, yeah, you shouldn't maybe listen to my advice. You should maybe do what I say or I do. What you should do and listen to is what always, and you should do this with everything. Not just this scenario, everything in your lives. If you haven't in the past, from here forward, is take it all in and decide what works for you and your family, what you believe, how you want to enact, what you want to do, and how you want to act is what you have to do for you. Because every single one of you is a captain now. That's right. Team 99, every single one of you, I just promoted you to captain. Everybody. So now, everyone out there that didn't listen, everybody out there you talk to, you are a captain. You got stripes. You know why? Because you listen, you made some moves, you tune in, you're making good decisions. You went and bought some food when you could, as much as you can afford, you know. By the way, no longer am I saying just go buy a couple cans of this and whatever. You know, it sounds like they're going to have to postpone rents. I hope to God that's true for everybody. And eventually we're working on it to postpone mortgages and credit cards and all that, if it works. I mean, the banks did, and the Wall Street just did get the money like 2 days after it was cut. They had theirs. So they're not hurting again. And we bailed them out again. So it's time they bail us out. I could go into that again too, but I won't. So with that, we're going to watch a couple more minutes, and then we're going to end part 2 and go on to part 3 tonight.
And is it the only reason we're saying do homemade ones is we just don't have enough masks?
Well, the reason why we're saying make a homemade one is because that's effective in protecting you from me. Remember, I'm wearing a mask to protect you, Chuck, and you're wearing a mask to protect me. That is what you need. We want to make sure we're saving the medical mask for the healthcare workers, and we still would recommend that people wear an N95
And what he just said about the N95 recommending, that is what you need to have. The t-shirts, they don't have microfiber filters and all this stuff. So that first part of his sentence was a hooey of pooey. That's right, a hooey of pooey. You heard it here first. Just like spitty ones and other catchy little things we throw out there. Because we don't candy coat. We just tell it how it is. Let's listen to what he has to say. He is saying some half-truths. So let's take the half-truths. Like I just told you guys, weed through it and figure out what the truth is.
Even if we had enough, when I'm in the hospital, I have to get specially fit tested to wear an N95. They're uncomfortable and you can frequently touch your face. If you're taking care of a loved one who is either older or has medical conditions, very important you wash your hands frequently. You do everything possible to prevent spreading disease to them. And I would encourage folks to consider wearing a cloth face covering when you're within 6 feet of that person so that your droplets aren't going to them and you're not potentially spreading disease.
The president made it pretty clear he's not going to wear one. Would you recommend people wearing one at work?
That again. So here's what you have to know. If you go to the CDC website, it says number one, this is voluntary. We're asking people to think about doing it to protect their neighbors and their families. But number two, it's not a substitute for social distancing. If you're at work and you're 6 feet away from someone, there is a minimal chance that you're going to spread disease. If you're in a work environment where you're within 6 feet, where you're really...
I can't candy coat this BS any clearer, guys. This is as much BS as when they told us it wasn't airborne, remember? They told us it only lasted a couple days on the surface. We know that is now 7 to 14 days, depending. You're not contagious more than a week. So if you do 2 weeks, it's all good and dandy. Now we were looking at a month. We're looking at 2 months now for contagious. If not permanently, once it's in your system, by the way. Because if you can catch something twice, that means you haven't kicked it out. It's still there, guys. Which means this is going to be running around and around and around a long time. Okay? As far as the masks go, the 6 foot thing is a joke. We actually, if you go back and you watch some of my stuff and you go out there and research it yourself, you're going to see where a cop or a spray, once it gets in the air, can actually go, let's just put it, 20 yards, if not further. I think it was shown one time where it went, because of breezes and stuff, clear across a street with like 4 channels of cars. You know, that is 20 yards, give or take. So that's, again, half truths. You got to pick out the good and throw the rest away, because they're not going to tell us the whole thing, guys. They're not going to tell us what is going on, because there's more going on. There's something, even if it is Agenda 21, to where they're going to come in and we've made that one world order time, this is it. And they're going to actually initiate it, one world government, and, you know, etc., the mark of the beast. Even if that's it right now, if it's not that, let's just say, besides what we know is going on, there's something else going on. And I encourage you to watch and to listen out there, and to watch out in the skies. Because why they're locking us in our houses, we're not looking up there, we're not watching. And if you see anything, record it always. If you guys send me, I do go through your stuff, by the way, guys, and I take it in. One of you sent me something on remember I did about the spray with the nanites? One of you guys, thank you for sending me the link. I did research it. I'm trying to get, starting tomorrow, I'm going to try to call. I'll record it for you guys. And I'm going to act like I'm real interested in buying it. And how do I get it? What does it cost? How soon can I get it? And then after I find out those details, then I'll kind of go into, well, they're nanites. Explain that to me. Let's hear what they actually, because from my reading and watching, the nanite situation is not a good thing. And remember, on that, that stuff was only certified and used inside of fuel tanks, like some kind of coating. Which even on that, guys, then we stick our hands in gas and it maybe had those nanite. You know, this goes back to cloud farts and cloud spraying and all this weird stuff that's been going on for years. And people were saying, you know, that they were getting things in their skin and on them, and different people break out and have different reactions to stuff. You know, and there's a movie with Johnny Depp, and I can't say it right now, but you guys can go watch it. I'll try to get to the name later. But the bottom line is he transforms himself into like an AI and becomes almost alive. And then at the end, I shouldn't give the movie away. So spoiler, if you haven't watched it, cover your ears. So in the end, all this wonderful stuff gets into the water and gets everywhere, spread around. Scary. And with that, we're going to end part 2 tonight. Thank you for tuning in. This is Healthcare Sucks, where Nothing is real. We use the Fair Use Act. And the Wuhan monster's not knocking at our doors. Every single one of us. So as long as we do use our common sense and be prepared, and I do recommend gloves. I've become definitely highly wearing if you can get rubber gloves, guys. I mean, back when you could order masks and gloves and all that offline, and you could even order them. I was telling you guys at one point through Harbor Freight. I went on the other night because I was going to order some more stuff to have. You can't even get the gloves no more, guys. So check with your friends and families and neighbors. Anybody that has taken care of an older person usually has a bunch of those gloves. I'm not saying they'll give you some, but they might share if you're nice and they love you. Or they're just nice people. They might. And that's why I always recommend this. And this is something to write down in your little forever book. Never throw away anything that could be used in the future. Medical supplies, medications, any of that stuff. I'm not recommending you use anything that is past a due date. That's not for me. That's for you. But I can tell you that I have had talks with doctors and pharmacists that medication used to have a lot longer expiration date on it, and the pharmaceutical companies didn't like that it lasted so long, so they started formatting this date to push it up so you would turn it or throw it away and have to buy more. So with that being said, unless something's got spots in it or funky smells or some kind of other thing, or you don't feel safe, again, you have to be the decider and make the decisions. As one other president said, I am the decider. I decide. You know who that is? I'll leave it to you with that. So all I'm saying is, especially at this time, don't be throwing nothing away right now, because we don't know what's around the corner. That expired, can of food right now, usually canned foods and things like that last a year. Not talking about breads and things like that, but soups, canned foods and stuff usually are good a year after. You want to look for the rusty spots on a product. You want to, when you open it, if it looks tainted or smelled or any funky stuff, don't eat it. Again, I'm not telling you to eat or do anything. This is where I'm teaching you and giving you the tools, and you guys have to make the decisions on what you want to do. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get from the left and the right, and opinions are great. If you guys have any opinions, always feel free. And with that, healthcare sucks. We'll go on to part 3.